Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week for Created Work. It is our ongoing interview series and exploration about how startups, founders, NFT artists, whoever you may be, can deploy Web3 technologies to build the future. We do go live here on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We also have our other shows on Wednesday. We have our Created Economy show. It's our interview series with Web3 and creator economy builders and industry folks. And then on Friday, we do the news for Creative Brief. So this week, we are fortunate and lucky to have Maddie Bergen joining us today from the Angel Alliance. It's a brand new NFT project and DAO that is launching soon. And so without further ado, I'm going to just bring the team all in. Welcome back, everybody. Francine, how are you?
I'm great.
Have you strangled your robot already today, or do we need?
You know what? I turned my robot off altogether. We're done.
Good. So we're joined, of course, today by Francine, Arnold, and of course, without exception, Maddie. Maddie, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure, and we wanted. So, full disclosure, by the way, I am I'm already advising, but I'm soon to be an official advisor to the Angel Alliance, and it is minting when, Maddie?
On the 26th, and we're very excited to start working together.
So does that mean I should have been in the Discord weeks ago?
Francine, I am like, before the end of this show, we're going to have your commitment to also be an advisor. So, I came across this project a few weeks ago, as I was continuing to share and explore like more of the projects that were out there. I got to meet Maddie, we got to know each other, and I'm just truly like love the mission. So Maddie, tell us about the Angel Alliance and what is going on with it.
Yeah, of course. So essentially our mission is to connect, fund, and educate female entrepreneurs. So my background is I started my own fitness business a few years ago, and then I transitioned into venture capital. And in my venture capital role, I was barely working with any...
Wait, Maddie. From fitness into venture capital?
In between, there was some work for startups and some consulting work at the same time. But there was a transition period. So within like my venture capital role, I was barely interviewing any women, and like it was a deep tech VC firm, but I was like kind of questioning it. I was like, hey, why am I interviewing so few women? And then I kind of dove into the subject, and then only 2.3% of VC funding went to women in 2020. And in the UK, I think it was 1.1% last year. And it just highlights how much there still is to do.
And it went down, right, Maddie? Like, wasn't 2021 lower than 2020?
Yeah, it was.
I know. I read that and I couldn't believe it, because I thought like 2020 was the year of the woman.
Yeah, it's for the last, I think, few years, it's gone down. I think COVID had a big impact on female-led businesses as well. That had a huge impact on the funding. So there's a lot of different factors that contributed to it. But I think essentially there's just not enough happening, and it's been around the 2% mark for like 10 years now, and there's not much growth happening. And it's a really hard problem to break down because there are so many factors that go into it, such as like the VCs being such a male-dominated industry, female founders not starting, I guess, like scalable businesses. They start smaller businesses a lot of the time, so you need to get more women into STEM. Women don't ask for funding a lot of the time, and when they do, they ask for less funding. So there's just like it's a very complex problem to break down. But essentially, I wanted to do something that could help educate these existing female entrepreneurs on, okay, how do you ask for funding? How much do you ask for? Where do you even start? And essentially, that's what Angel Alliance is. And we function as a DAO, and female entrepreneurs pitch their startups to our DAO. And then essentially our community is going to vote on who we fund. And like, because I've been the investor, I want to give that power back to the everyday person and, let people make their own investment decisions. So that's essentially what we'll be doing. And then once we it will be relatively small ticket sizes, and we'll be giving grants to startups. So we won't be taking equity, but we'll put them through an incubator program and we'll match them with a mentor, so they actually have that support system around them, which I think will have a big influence. And then as well as that, for our community, we'll be doing education events, we'll be doing networking events, and just like providing as much value as we can. But my ultimate vision for Angel Alliance is just to get more underrepresented backgrounds into entrepreneurship. And it's actually what I'm now advising my VC firm to work on, like similar initiatives. So we'll be collaborating on in that as well.
Well, that is so interesting, because I was a member of, as a matter of fact, I was a founding chapter organizer of Golden Seeds in Arizona. And
No way.
I stayed in that for 1 year, and then I bailed, because what I found out about Golden Seeds, and this is going to be an issue with regard to women's funding, you know, from start to finish. Golden Seeds educates women to be investors, and then has a fund where they invest in women. Well, what happens is that the women investors become so risk averse that they basically don't come in till about the third round, you know, because they want to de-risk the entire investment and get out in 3 years. And, you know, and the poor entrepreneur has to have done all that work before. And by that time, you know, you either haven't made it or you have, and you really don't need Golden Seeds. So, you know, one of the things that I'm hoping for women investments is that women will start, and actually I have great hopes for Web3, that women will get in earlier, you know, both in the creating and the investing, and that will make a big difference.
I agree. I see Web3 as an opportunity to, I guess, level the playing ground a little bit.
It totally is. And in fact, what I see now is women are kind of right now, well, I don't know, I'm biased because I get to, every women-led project comes to me because everyone knows that I'm interested in them. So
I just keep signing you up for stuff.
They do. They do.
No, I am too.
Oh yeah, right. You are. That's right. So, you know, so I believe there are a fair number of women-led projects in Web3 that have a good chance of succeeding. And I mean, there are some big ones like Randy Zuckerberg's, you know, and hers is kind of, I can't figure out what hers is, because she did an NFT called BFF, you know, an NFT project called BFF. And now she's doing something called Hug, and Hug has something in it called Hub. You know, if I were advising her right now, I would tell her she has to focus. Sorry, it's lunchtime for the.
Don't worry.
Arnold, any questions for Maddie?
Yeah, no. So Maddie, I guess I'm more curious on the DAO end of that operation, just kind of how that actually comes together and how it works. I mean, certainly we've talked on this show previously about the benefits of DAOs and kind of how they come together. But I'm always interested to hear from somebody who's actually operating one, and you know, how the work is actually getting done, and how you're just day to day what that looks like.
Got it. So we will actually be launching our DAO on the 26th. So when we mint, that's when we'll like create the DAO essentially. So we haven't actually started that, but I can explain how it's going to work a little bit. So we're going to have a DAO council, and essentially it's going to be a group of, I think it's about 10 people. And then they're going to filter through initial startup applications, because I imagine that we'll get some quite random ones. So we'll have a very initial filtration process just to vet them and make sure that everything's okay. And then from that point, all those things will get shown to our community, and then they can vote on it. I think the thing with DAOs is you do need like a small group of like people helping understand everyone's voices, because otherwise there's 100 people shouting and you can't hear anyone. So the whole purpose for the DAO council is to like help filter those voices. And then, we're also working with a lawyer at the moment to construct a DAO from a legal perspective, because there are so many, I guess, question marks around how to do that. And I think there's only one way you can create a proper DAO, which is having creating an organization without an executive, and that can only be created in one part of the world. I can't remember where it is, but it costs like $30,000, I think. I don't think we're going to do that, but that's like, there's only one proper way on how to create a DAO.
Wyoming, I believe you can, is it Wyoming? You can create a DAO in the States
Is it?
as a normal corporation, basically. It's like an LLC. They treat it as.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be doing that, but we're constructing it from a legal perspective as well.
Well, and what you're going to find is that I'm telling you like I know, but I only know from life experience. I don't know from experience with DAOs. Nobody really knows. But so far, what it looks like is that a small number of people become deeply involved and do all the work. And the rest of the people they just want some equity, and they want to vote when they want to vote. The rest of the time, they're not going to it's almost like who serves on the school board, or it's like everybody doesn't do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that has yet to work itself out. And it's for a while, I think every DAO is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I guess so. So Maddie, just to unpack the process a little bit, how would a startup project or a woman come? Is it exclusively for women? Like that?
Yeah. So the funding is exclusively for women.
Okay. So how? What's the process, I guess, or what kind of information would, an aspiring entrepreneur need to be able to provide to you? Like, what stage of company are you imagining this is good for? And then I know you mentioned sort of ticket size is like smaller, but like what's small, I guess, right? Like in your mind.
Yeah, of course. So, so female entrepreneurs can apply. So like in the community, we want both men and women, but for the actual grants, we'll only be giving grants to female entrepreneurs. So the application process will be, the first step is to fill out a form, and it will just be some like questions like, what's the business? Why is there a market here? Like those kind of generic questions. And then they'll have to submit a pitch. And so we're thinking, okay, because we want to create this as unbiased as possible. So ideally it would be a recorded pitch, but then we're thinking, can we change the voices at all? Or like, we're just trying to think about different strategies to, I guess, remove that bias. Because again, like we are very like, it doesn't matter what age you are, what the color of your skin is, we just want the product to show. So we're trying to develop strategies to make it as unbiased as possible, essentially throughout that whole process before it gets shown to the DAO. So we just created our application form, so that will be live tonight. And then the pictures will also have to be uploaded. I'm seeing an NFT collection. But yeah, we've actually had a lot of interest from a really wide range of like startups, I would say, because I haven't set a specific like sector, because I want the DAO to choose the direction that we take. Francine, I see you're unmuted.
Well, I unmuted because there was somebody who came in what's known in journalism as the lower third, and said, I'm a female surgeon and I know how it is in the NFT space. And so, first of all, there's your first customer. Second, how are you raising the money, or where are you raising the money for funding the DAO from the mint? And if so, could you explain a little bit about that? Because one of the things that's most promising, I think, for female entrepreneurs is the actual process and structure of the fundraising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we will be raising from our initial mint, which will be on the 26th. So that's how we'll be, I guess, raising the money to fund the startups. And then from that point, we have enough money for 2 years to fund startups. And then we'll either come out with another collection, or some angel investors have also been speaking to me, maybe, you should raise an actual like fund. But that's far in the future. So we have 2 years, I guess, to figure that out. But yeah, the initial funds will be raised from the NFTs that we sell.
Okay, and you've done all the tokenomics and everything, and you know how many do you have to sell out before you can begin giving out money? I think that people who are getting into this space need some of this sort of back end stuff. not just, oh, here's a woman who, you know, is a venture capitalist and she's going to give money to us. It would be helpful to everybody if more people understood how this all works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we don't necessarily need to sell out to like fund the entrepreneurs, because we will have like still some money if we don't sell out straight away. I mean, I assume we'll sell out at some point if we don't do it straight away. So we will raise that capital that we have
gonna
predicted.
sell out, right?
Yeah, it will sell out. Yeah, and eventually, like, we will raise that capital that we have predicted and kind of modeled out. And so from that, that's how we'll essentially all like that money that's for the investment will get put in a vault, and they will just kind of be stored there, and then we'll kind of dip into it as we fund the startups essentially.
And let's see, how are you going to make it sell out in the crowded world of NFT projects?
Mm-hmm. So
I'm only asking about this because I think the viewers would really want to know this.
Oh, I warned Maddie there that we try to unpack the process as much as possible.
Yeah. Okay, I'm unpacking the process, and I'm also going to close my closet door because I see that you can see into my clothes, and those are my sweatshirts behind me.
Give me that sweatshirt. I want that white one with the colors on it.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I guess like what gives me confidence in our project is that we are quite unique in the sense, in the sense that we're very focused on female entrepreneurship, and I haven't seen a project as focused on it necessarily. And we're also a DAO, so essentially we're giving that power back to the community. And thing is, when people hear about our project, they love it, and especially female entrepreneurs, they think it's such an incredible idea. And I think like a lot of the time, there are because there are quite a few women-led projects, and I think we have a unique edge in the fact that like we're also funding these female entrepreneurs, whereas a lot of projects just like fund charities and things like that.
Well, again, because every one of these things seems to come by me at one time or another, especially BFF is meant to educate as well as fund, and has an incubator with it.
Does BFF have an incubator?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or if it doesn't, it has classes. Sorry, it has online classes.
Yeah.
Randy has started an incubator that's called Hub.
Yeah, I think that's my Hugs. I think that's an incubator for projects. So like, I think it's for women-led projects. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So how does that differ from yours?
So we are creating an incubator. So we've partnered up with New Founders School, and all the startups will go through one of their incubator programs. And essentially, because we're not like making it specific to any industry, we're not just doing women-led projects, we're saying any startups at the moment. And we're going to, I guess, dip into our pool of like our network to provide these mentors to help these startups. So I guess the way that we differ is my Hugs is just for like women-led projects rather than like a wider industry range.
Women-led NFT projects.
Women-led NFT projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. I'm watching this go by on the screen, and it's all I can do not to leave and go to Discord and sign up so that I can.
You should sign up for sure. I think the interesting thing from my point of view was just that I hadn't seen, to Maddie's point, there are any number of projects that are going to great causes. But what I really loved about what Maddie's trying to do is actually say, like, a lot of times it's the initial capital that is the number one thing that stops you from starting, right?
Oh, that is the absolute truth.
Yeah. And for so many things, right? Like, and as we know, women are far more resourceful than men. And a small little step is a huge ladder, right? And so that's what I actually really appreciate about what Maddie's trying to do, is to say, well, if the kindling you need is, $2,500, $5,000, like, we can support that, right? Like, and maybe that's to, one, give you the skills to.
Damn, Maddie, I made $5,000 investments for the last 40 years. I am not kidding. And not only in women though, but in startup companies, because it was the kindling they needed. The first money that they needed. It just gave them
and oftentimes, you just need one person to have that confidence in you, and it sets you on the right path. And I was actually speaking to someone about this. Like, I don't think we're going to attract those people that have loads of money and have, I don't know, a rich family behind them. I think we're going to attract people that maybe come from backgrounds that are a bit more like, underrepresented. And I think that this money could mean so much to them compared to someone that comes from more of a wealthy background.
That is absolute. And there's your pitch. I'm trying to hone your pitch a little bit before you mince.
Practicing.
So.
And Maddie, I apologize if you mentioned this before as well, but what's I don't know if have you guys thought about like the average investment sizes that you plan to make into these projects? Or?
Yeah, so we'll be doing like around 10 to 15K, around that kind of range. So not like huge ticket sizes. I'm used to doing like actual VC rounds, which are ridiculous, but just grants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Greg called it kindling, and I think that's the perfect name for it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how you can steal Greg's word and put it in your mission and vision so that it helps you sell out.
We'll promote that version.
What we'll do is we'll just edit Greg using that phrase out of the segment. Now it's yours, Maddie.
I'll put it on the website.
Yeah, exactly.
Website, yeah. I'll be on the website soon. My picture is submitted.
You will.
But I think the other thing that I think is important, and Francine, I'm sure you can speak to this, right? But it's not just about money. It's not just about money, right? Like, I think what Maddie pointed out was that, a lot of misperceptions and sort of like, imposter syndrome and a lot of these other factors, I think, that go into the process of raising money that a lot of women maybe don't step into or don't like throw their arms around or try to own, right? And so I think, if you get that little kindling and a little bit of education on like what your power is and what your ability is and the vote of confidence to go forward, you can go win pitch competitions. You could go do a whole bunch of other things, right? And enter the process like a normal like dude who like doesn't know any better, his head from his ass, but would still like stumble his way through it. You can go through it way better informed and start to create the opportunities. And I think like what I'm hoping to see happen is to see the ecosystem evolve around this, right? Like I want angels to be like, great, I'm here to do matching. I want to find like, great, we've secured like your like interviews for you or mentorship for you or other things like that. That's what I think is really like the money is just a little piece, right? Like, I mean, it can feel like life or death, the money, but it's not, as we know, all of us who've been entrepreneurs, that it's actually not just about the money.
It's the door openers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is really the door openers. It's the connections, and it's the, it's like when you've been around for a long time, you have a huge, what used to be called a Rolodex, but of course you've outlived Rolodex, but like a huge number of contacts. And when you meet an entrepreneur, what goes through your head is, if you're a person who has any desire to be helpful, is who can I introduce this person to? Where should this person show up? Where they're going to meet more people who are aligned with their same cause. And we see people don't even know what Web3 means and what NFT projects are. But you could have a whole lot of people who have never bought an NFT before buy an NFT to become an angel investor in a woman. and that's an interesting proposition right there. Let's just say that I am a woman and I've never invested anything before. I don't really have a lot of money to invest, and I don't know how to invest, and yada, yada. But if Maddie is forming this project, I can mint her NFT, and I can help her put the money to work. And what some people don't realize, and I'm sure you do since you already did it, is that you put the money to work. Once you put the money to work, it's the same money and it's basically the same principles. So you actually, by minting the NFT, have become a very small angel investor. But I love that name, Angel Alliance, because it says so much to me.
Yeah, that was the whole reasoning behind the name, an angel investor. Funny that you say that, because I've been speaking to like a few angel investors, especially women, and then when I tell them that I'm working on an NFT collection, the first question is, they're like, what's an NFT? what is this? Like, they've normally heard about it, but like there's still so many question marks around it. And I think, like, because we're in a position, we're working with like some VCs, we're working with startup incubators and angel investors, and it's a good bridge, especially for them to kind of understand the industry a bit more and then potentially invest in more Web3 startups, which I guess is good for the whole ecosystem. But yeah, it's a question I have to answer a lot. As I'm
See,
sure
I
you
feel
all
like Greg and I, and Arnold, I don't know about you, but Greg and I and some of our friends, we spent all last year, learning NFTs and investing in NFT launches and mints and becoming knowledgeable. And what I feel is that I have a portfolio of startups, not that different from when I made my first angel investments. And I don't know yet what startups are going to fail. That's why I always love it in the Discords when after 2 weeks after a mint, someone says, well, this project was a rug pull. Or this project has failed. There's nothing happening here, right? Because I mean, if you actually are working on a company after you raise the initial funds, the next day the company doesn't appear, the project doesn't materialize. What has happened through the NFT process is you've raised the money to start the process. So it's going to take a while. And I think that's another thing that people need to be educated about.
Yeah, and I agree, Francine. I actually really like some of these emergent models of, like, the reason we started this show was to explore, like, could Arnold, myself, Abhinav, like, leverage an NFT, for example, as like a funding source for our startup. I think to the extent that you could help even the new companies coming through potentially put together their next $10,000 or $15,000, even just by launching the NFT as a way to support them, is a simple and powerful thing, right?
Right.
Your demo day could literally be like, great, where you do your pitch, but here's the NFT you can buy if you believe in this project, right? And what I actually was chatting with Abhinav yesterday. One of the things he told me was that I think in the UK, an NFT sale is just an NFT sale. It's just like sales. So it's actually not regulated. The fungible stuff gets you in trouble, but the non-fungible stuff doesn't, right? Like, so you could like just sell that thing. So it'd be really interesting to see like demo day kind of reinvented in Web3 also, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
Which would be super cool. I've helped stand up a number of accelerators in the past, and I've been through YCN Techstars, I'm halfway through Techstars. So I got a lot of experience, but I do think there's a ripe room for innovation here as well, right? Just in changing this model. And it doesn't have to be about investment. I think, like, to Francine, the caution in what Francine has said is they may be startups, but you can't call them that, right? Otherwise you can end up in hot water.
Right. Well, the problem is that the regulations and the things that are happening don't fit each other. So
Absolutely. So I don't know if Arno had another question. I actually had a question, just I guess in understanding, like, folks love hearing the process. So how did you go from? Can you tell us just everything? Like, how'd you do your website? Like, is the art? Who's making the art? How did you find your artist? And who did you work with to unpack the contracts and all these other things? I'm
Who's
just
on your team?
Yeah.
by like
yeah,
just
yeah.
these things.
So from the beginning, essentially, a story from the beginning. Wow. So I was in the NFT space and I love the whole NFT ecosystem. And like you guys are mentioning, the women-led projects, I was really attracted to them. And I love the community aspects of it. And I was like, okay, maybe this could be somewhere that I could build this project and create this initiative that I've wanted to create. And so I reached out to one of my friends and he's helped launch a few projects before. So he was quite familiar with how to launch projects and everything like that. So we started working on it together. And then from that point, we expanded very organically, I have to say. Like, it was very like through connections or through like Twitter, all these kind of different things. And what I've noticed recently about our team is there are so many people that just want to get involved. I think, like, including our mods and like our first council members, we have probably like 15 people, maybe more, because there are so many people that will they just really want to get involved. And I honestly appreciate it so much. They were like brainstorming, okay, what content can we create together? Like, how can we actually help these people? So I would say our team has grown very, very organically and in a very natural way. And I really like that because it hasn't been like the official interview process. But in that sense, we all knew each other's skill sets as well, because we knew, like, people knew each other prior, and I think that was really valuable. But yeah, and yeah, I guess when we mint, we'll probably build up the team a bit more. I think the roles will change a little bit because right now our focus is just on minting, and then after that is where, okay, it's where the exciting stuff happens, and we really need to implement everything. And it's honestly so crazy. I feel like, when you've been like waiting for something for so long and now it's so close that I am very, very excited for it.
But when you came together, was it just a bunch of friends coming together saying, we want to do this?
So no, my co-founder, he was my friend, but then he just had business relationships within the space, and then I just knew like a few people from the space through like Discords and things like that.
And those are where you got your volunteers.
Yeah. And so let me ask, I guess, other follow-up questions. Like, so the art itself, did you hire an artist? Sort of, it's generative, right?
Yeah.
And I guess like I'm kind of curious, just for folks, like for listeners, not like for me per se, I guess, but it's just like, what kind of startup capital is even required to kind of do like a launch like this, right? Like, were you able to put it all together like barter? Is it out of future earnings, or did you like have to put some cash in to sort of do the? I mean, obviously, to deploy your contract requires some capital, right?
Yeah.
Like, but other than that, what's the ballpark?
I would say probably about 20,000, around that, including like, I guess, dev stuff, artist, I'm trying to think what else. Like, also just like, because we did like a few small giveaways to help like get our project out there. So we did that, like things like that, I guess they add up. And paying for small subscriptions for things like, I don't know, Canva or like Asana, all these different things that tend to add up.
Tools.
But yeah, tools essentially, yeah. But I would say I guess maybe it's a very rough figure. It depends so much on what you're doing and the type of project you're building. So there isn't like one figure, I guess.
What is the difference? I've always wanted to ask this question of somebody, but everybody always assumes that I must know the meaning. What is generative art compared to regular art?
So generative art generative art has a lot of different features, but essentially they're all kind of, the features are all mixed together. So for example, you can have the same lips on like 10 different women, or like same hair or different things, but they vary in color and like maybe in style. So one jacket could have a leopard print on it, the next could just be pink. Like it's having the same, I guess, items of clothing or accessories or anything like that, but just in different colors and forms.
So it's almost like a kaleidoscope,
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. So more about your art, I guess. Are there any one of ones in there, or is there sort of like a rarity thing that you've sort of pre-planned?
Yeah, so we have certain traits, and then they get you certain like subscriptions or books or these kind of things.
Oh.
We haven't made like the official announcement, but we have like certain traits that get you certain special features, and we've done a few one-of-ones as well. We did an incredible one for Paris Hilton, and it looks amazing. She hasn't yet seen it, but like it's amazing. Like the wings on it are incredible.
So, so for folks who aren't aware, I'm curious if this is the approach you took. So a lot of times when you do some generative projects are like real-time generative, like, so you actually don't, the team doesn't know what's going to come out actually, right? Like that you can sometimes hint rarity, like I want there to be fewer of this than this kind of thing. And then there's other projects where they actually will generate all of them ahead of time, and then they get randomly assigned to someone. Is that which approach are you using for your project?
The first method. So actually, we don't know what they're all going to look like yet. We've got like samples of artwork, but we don't have the full picture.
Okay,
which is, I guess, exciting in a way.
Yeah, that's part of the fun, right? It's like,
and then the rarities sort of shake out randomly.
Yeah. So like, for example, some of the expansion projects, right? Expansion punks and Zero X and things like that. They basically generate all of them ahead of time, so they can actually show you all of the ones that are going to be there. 90s Babes, for example, like they were able to announce ahead of time. They're like, there's 15 or whatever it is, one of ones that will be in the mix. So I think that usually means that they've pre-generated all of them, and it's just like randomly assigned. Then the other ones, so hence some projects can know their rarity up front, basically, because they basically pre-generated it. And then other projects, the rarity is sort of emergent from like what gets minted, right? So it's like, okay, well, there only ended up being one of this, so that makes it more rare than the others because of it.
Didn't you get a 90s Babes one of one, right?
I did. I got the number 3 of the whole thing. I got Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
Yeah. So I believe it's the third ranked for the whole project. So
wow.
Well, that ought to
congratulations.
Yeah, that'll fund.
I'm hoping that Velma is going to return my entire bag of investments in other projects so I can redeploy the capital.
That's terrific.
Yeah. So Maddie, I guess I have a couple other questions, I guess. By the way, the $20,000 doesn't strike me as an outlier. I think it's just interesting to hear, because I think a lot of folks don't actually forget, like, one, there's a tremendous amount of time that goes into it. Maddie was telling me earlier, she's basically on like American time now, because like still the nexus, I guess, of crypto investments is probably still in US centric to some degree, but
where do you actually live, Maddie?
I live in the UK.
Oh, all right, here we go. My daughter lives in Barnes, which is a suburb of London.
Oh, I live in Bath. You've probably never heard of it. It's literally spelled like having a bath, but it's a Roman city.
Yeah.
It was a vacation spot in the 19th century.
Yeah. Oh.
I studied literature.
I went there when I was in college because I did a semester in London.
What did you think of it?
You know, like, I was 19. I was more engaged in drinking at the time than anything else. So I was like, hey, all right, fine. I guess we have to go here.
Yeah, it's quite small. It's very pretty, but it's quite small.
Interesting.
But it's a good place to live if you're doing projects, because you can probably concentrate.
Yeah. But it's nice. So just to, I guess I love this idea of operationalizing, deploying this, because if you can get that cost down to a few $1,000s, or figure out how to move that money to was that upfront cash, by the way, or is it like kind of
just like throughout the whole process?
Yeah, so what we like, I guess I didn't announce my NFT project. We announced it today.
Congratulations.
Francine doesn't know, but I DM'd her. I'm like, hey, I need you to come speak at a thing. Don't
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, here's this. So Greg is this big friend of mine, and so if he, he sends a direct message to me on Twitter, I'm like doing 3 other things at once, and I'm like, oh, this is from Greg. He's asking me to do something. That's a yes. And then this morning,
my words were like, I want to send you an NFT, but I need you to promise me you're going to do something.
That's right, you're going to do something for me.
So that was how she agreed to it. We just announced our new project today, actually, the Alpha Collective, with a number of our friends that many of you know, Jaffe, Fanzo, and a few maybe you don't know.
And in fact, what I said was, how come I got left out? And Jaffe wrote me back and said, you're not left out. You're a speaker.
Yeah, wait, you're on here somewhere. Let me see.
I saw myself.
There you are. There you are.
Yeah. That was before the plague.
It was
when
before the plague.
When I had red hair.
But so we are doing a TED style experience, not TED, obviously, right? But where we're going to have some amazing speakers come and tell and speak about how to win and how to execute in the Web3 world for business leaders. So we have a space tonight. If you want to join, feel free. But yeah, we've been working on this behind the scenes for a while. And yeah, we have, I think, like 30 of our speakers committed already, and we are going to be adding the other 22 shortly. So we'll be announcing, I think, 4 or 5 a week over the course of the next several weeks before we mint. I think we may be minting next week. We're working on it right now, but mint should be a week from now. So sign up on the email list.
And what will the mint be?
The mint price?
Rally team. Who is this? Who's watching?
I don't know, right? Like, oh wait, they know you. It's clearly one of your friends.
Clearly, we know them all. This person is saying we know them all. This person is. How can you be a surgeon and you don't? And you know all the people on the Rally team.
Yeah, well,
and you know the NFT space. I'm getting a big does not compute sign, like I can't figure out who this is, but that's okay.
Yeah, so didn't want to distract. I forgot. I did want to mention it at least, but yeah, we are live today also, and we have a space tonight if you could make it, and you get to talk to the founders of the project and learn from them as well. And I'm going to try to recruit as many of them to be mentors or advisors to the Angel Alliance as well. So.
Sweet.
I have a quick question about the speakers. When you put them together, are they all Web3 related or like Web2 as well?
So we are bringing together leaders from Web2 and Web3 to speak about sort of framing the opportunity and some of the challenges that we think. And we, so a lot of our,
and what's the difference?
Yeah, these are a lot of like keynote speaker style folks from the Web2 world who, usually are like on the cutting edge, thinking about like what's next and how they're going to move into it. So some of the conversation format is like, hey, how are you planning to approach Web3 now? So you can hear firsthand from like a person who's a leader in Web2. And then on the flip side, we have folks from Web3 who are going to be sharing their experience, navigating through that world, or also like sort of like their understanding about like how some of these forces are going to impact the Web2 world itself. So the talks are, they're what we call alpha talks. So they're 20 minutes of that person sort of giving a chat, 10 minutes of an interview from one of the founders of the project, and then 30 minutes where the members of the group get to actually ask questions. There's 1,000 passes. They're 1 ETH each, actually. And you can also purchase it with fiat, but the price is somewhat higher. That's all my shilling for today.
I love it.
ETH?
1 ETH, yeah.
This is a high class project.
It better be, right? I'm involved. You're involved, right?
Well, yeah. I say both of you guys are involved, so yeah.
One whole ETH.
ETH is a bargain.
Yeah. I used to think an ETH was nothing.
It's interesting. Like when you think about the strategies, I remember Maddie and I were chatting about this also. Like, how do you pick your price is a very complicated thing, right? And where does it fit in the market, and and things like that. And yes, absolutely, 1 ETH is not like where normal NFT projects come out. But our take is really that this is an education series. It's like buying a ticket to TED, but for actually a lot less than you would pay to go to TED.
Okay, so this is a pass.
It's a pass.
Which means it's more like a utility token. It has more than one use.
Yep.
And so it's not like minting a PHP.
Yeah. No, this is we're not selling art. So it's a purely utility token. Right. It gives you access to the 52 talks. This is season 1, so you get access to all the talks. You also get access to our Discord and basically a private community to connect and network. You'll also have access to some IRL events that we plan to do around like major events throughout the course of the year.
Gee, another Discord.
Yeah.
I went through my Discords the other night and took myself out of some.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Well, don't you do that?
It was funny. Maddie and I were chatting earlier today, and she's like,
I can't follow them all.
Tweet me. Like I turn Discord off as much as possible.
The irony is everything, but I'm scared to leave a bunch of them because I'm scared I'm going to miss something.
Well, I feel the same way. But if I stay around and I realize that the project is going in a direction that I don't really care about, then I might get out of the Discord. Because
by the way, the Angel Lines Discord has got a lot of activity in it.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're very. Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Maddie. No, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
No, my question was actually about Discord and really about the Angel Alliance community. And like a lot of times we've talked about, what comes first, like building a robust community and then the project. And I'm just curious, like your approach to that. Did you start with the community angle and really build that up? Was that sort of the precursor to Angel Alliance, or did you just kind of build it along the way?
We kind of built it along the way. But it's actually, our Discord is like, everyone's very active in our Discord, and that's the one like positive feedback that we get from members is that we're actually having real conversations, whereas a lot of Discord it's like good morning, good night. So we've had really positive responses, and like a big part of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be very educational. So when I do spaces, I'm trying to do like spaces about books, like I have a book club, or like articles, and then within Discord posting like educational resources, because I think sometimes for me that's lacking in spaces, and I love learning. So I'm just like, let's create as many learning spaces essentially, because I want to provide that value. I don't just want to have a shilling space.
Which is what I find most of the spaces are. It's except for the journalist spaces. The journalist spaces are really here it is.
If you haven't seen it, these are all, I don't know when this poor person sleeps, but these are all the spaces that Maddie is in. And she's really, the way I actually met Maddie was through spaces, right? Because I heard some of the things she was saying, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I want to check out that project. And then I started to read about the project. So I don't know, Francine, have you seen this? This is Zealous.
No.
We back up all the spaces. So the last one that was yesterday, I guess, or that's today. You are in one today already. This is the Women in Web3 project. So this one is a little bit more shilling because it's like sharing projects.
Yeah,
but
this one was.
But there were a number.
When they're shilling ones, I do that, and then I have emails on the side. Just do my emails.
Yeah, makes sense. But there's a lot of great talks about just other things like where folks are sharing their origin stories, and there's a lot to learn, in a lot of these spaces. So we are backing up all of them automatically anyway. But yeah, here's like another great one. I think I was in this one also. I don't speak in them ever because I'm usually like listening in the background as well. But there's a lot of stuff, great stuff.
And backing it up.
Yeah, and backing it up.
But that's terrific. Just the opportunity to back it up like that. That's great.
Yeah, we do it automatically now. So once you tell us to track you, we'll start backing up your spaces for you.
I think I'll start some spaces then.
There you go.
Francine, have you ever been on a space?
Oh, yeah, of course. But I don't, I operate mostly on Clubhouse, which I think is a mistake. But that's where my tribe is, and it's been there for the last 3 years.
I don't know what she's talking about. Look at all these spaces.
Well, I've been in a few, but not.
Yeah, we don't do Clubhouse yet. Actually, I don't know if we'll ever do Clubhouse. But yeah, no, I think space is a really important part of the ecosystem of conversations because I think there's a lot to share. Yeah. Another. But by the way, no, it is not a Dutch auction. It's a fixed price, 1 ETH. You can buy it with fiat, or you can even request a purchase order if you need to, because our target audience is the business community. But yeah, no. So we're almost at time, Maddie. I guess any last thoughts? Give us some more of the dates and just the other, things that you think. Any last thoughts about the project that you want to share before we?
Where's the link?
I shared it in the comments, and here is the link as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, I guess our pre-sale is on the 26th, and our price is 0.07 ETH, and then our public is on the 28th, and then it's 0.08.
All right, I'll start.
And we have our
I'll start saving my ETH.
But yeah, we have if you want a pre-sale spot, there's also a chance to win a World of Women NFT if you mint from our pre-sale, which is very exciting. So
I'll mint from your pre-sale. I'll evangelize.
I mean, by the way, like World of Women floor is like 9 ETH or something insane right now. So that's a huge giveaway.
Yeah. Yeah, and I almost want to win it myself. I always try and mint one and then win it, but no.
I never win any of those, but
maybe this will be your chance. You got the 1 of 1 for 90s, babes.
I know. Maybe my luck is finally turning around. As soon as ETH gets out of the crapper, like we'll be back in the game, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what's happening. I use all my ETH is allotted, and a lot of these projects they can't be sold.
I'm like I'm getting to the point where I'm almost illiquid at this point, also. So I need to figure out what to do.
Me too. That's my problem.
You know what I can do is I could launch an NFT project. Oh wait.
Yeah, let's launch an NFT project to fund all of us people who want to support NFT project.
Yeah,
that would be a little too meta for the beginning of Web3, but it'll come.
But we're just about at time, and I just want to say thank you, Maddie, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I really, truly. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't commit my time unless I really believed in it. But I believe the approach is really unique. I think you have the background and the experience to actually make it successful, which I think is really important, right? Because there's a lot of folks who are like, we're going to invest in people, but they've never done that investment part, right? So I'm really excited for what's to come. I will be maximizing my minting opportunity in the pre-mint as well. And if anyone needs to get into that list, I think the best way to figure that out is to head over to the Discord, right? Follow Angel Alliance on Twitter. Angel Alliance ETH is the Twitter username. You can follow them. Head over to the Discord, pick up, learn about how to get onto the allow list over there. And join a space if you want to learn more. Maddie is out there all the time chatting and sharing what they're working And so you can.
Well, now that I know who Maddie is, I'll be there.
So Francine, I said
Thank you.
of the show that I was going to get you to commit to be an advisor. Do I have that commitment?
Do you want me?
Of course I do.
All right, I'm in.
All right.
Yes.
Show, that's what this show is for, right?
No, I'm in. Listen, it's a women's project.
Yeah.
It's a women's project that will spawn other women's projects. You know, as they say, what could possibly go?
I can't promise that I will be an advisor for every project that comes on the show, but I know Francine will. I'm just kidding. Next, we have to get Arnold into the fold. We're going to get a project for Arnold together.
But see, when you do that, whatever else you were doing collapses. So Arnold, try not to go down this rabbit hole.
No, it's already happening, Francine. Everything's already collapsing. Which is
You go down this rabbit hole and you end up in such a rich ecosystem that you can't, like I used to really be a writer. I hardly can. I spend so much time, in Discords and stuff like that. It's very hard to write anymore. And
I was thinking about that this morning, actually. Like Francine and I are the old school creators. Like we wrote things. And
not anymore.
Not anymore. I haven't.
If I get one thing, I have a Substack. If I get one thing a week written, I'm really proud of myself. I used to write like one thing a day.
Yeah. Even my
I
letters.
feel like that about
No.
I used to read all the time, and then Web3 happened, and then not much reading anymore.
Too. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's gotten harder and harder, but
it is great to be in community. To be honest, I wouldn't want to go back to being a lonely writer or a lonely reader, despite the fact that I love both of those things. But I also love people and community and learning and just whatever. A ton of
appreciate
stuff.
it. All right. Well, everyone, it is that time. We did. All right, just the last one. Now everyone communicates in GIFs and Pepe.
Pepe memes, right?
But
I had to look that up.
I always thought Pepe was like a
frog.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was like a bad thing.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, all right. I'm not imagining that, but anyway.
No, it's not a bad thing. I don't want to attach. I don't want to attach.
There are bad people who also use it. Let's
just say that it's a far right thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought it was. But everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for asking great questions of Maddie. Maddie, thank you for being open, transparent, and for sharing, and more importantly, for supporting more women as they enter the world of entrepreneurship. We are excited to be your advisors, right, Arnold? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and we will be there to back you and to share and promote as best we can. But absolutely, thank you everyone for being here today. It's a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow for Created Economy. Ken will be back out of his cage that I keep him in, and we look forward. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.